Wednesday, August 8th, 2018 at 6:30. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a few notes before we begin. This meeting is being taped for TCTV, local channel 8. If anybody else is taping, please raise your hand and let us know for the record. I see no one's taping at this time. Comments are only allowed during public comment sections of the meeting for the benefit of those watching at home and board. Anyone wishing to comment at this time, at the time, will need to come to the front table and sit where the microphone is in order to speak. Anyone wishing to be acknowledged by the board should raise their hand and wait to be called on. This keeps the meeting orderly and allows the business at hand to be completed. Times will be kept to a minimum, so regular business may be attended to in a timely manner. We thank you for your cooperation. Just a safety note, if we do lose power in the building, please don't just get up and run out of the doors. Please refrain, and we'll make sure that everybody gets out safely, okay? Any public comments at this time? Yes, ma'am. Just identify yourself for the record.
Gail Noel from Friends of the Templeton Elders.
Thank you.
And we had a very nice, clear day for our Mac and Cheese Festival, and I just wanted to ask if there was any feedback, you know, from that particular day.
Any feedback?
You know, can we plan on this venue again for next year?
Okay, anybody have any feedback?
The few people that commented to me, unfortunately, I had to work that day, so I wasn't able to make the event, but the few people that I've spoken to around town loved it.
It was
They
beautiful.
thought it went over very well. There were no issues. I did talk to a couple of people on the CERT team that said all of the direction of the traffic and the foot traffic and whatnot all went very well, so congratulations on a great event.
Great. And we will consider a shuttle for next year because as we continue to grow.
Great.
Great.
Oh, that was
Did I get
awesome.
everything? I mean, you worked there.
Yes.
I saw you running around
Yeah.
like crazy.
So, no, I mean, it was a good event, well attended. We didn't really have any issues. I did talk to a few people as I was roaming around, how far they had to park. Was the parking a problem? Of the probably 5 or 6 people I asked, none of them really had anything negative to say. I asked, if we had a shuttle, would you use it? And they said probably only if I couldn't get any place reasonably close to park.
Great. Sounds good. Connor, any complaints from the chief, from the police
None
department?
that I've received.
Understood. Yeah, I think everything went
Okay.
well.
Thank
Well,
you so
thanks.
much. And I want to thank all the town departments that cooperated, and the Narragansett students. They helped out tremendously. They were superheroes and organized our game, so that was great.
Well, that's awesome.
Thank
See you
you.
next year.
Great. Thank
Can't
you.
wait. Next July, I'm sure. Any other public comments? We know who you are, but just identify yourself for the record.
Robert May, 137 Shady Lane, Templeton, Mass.
Mr. May, how are you, sir?
I'm well. I'm here tonight because I've had conversations with Carter and yourself regarding Chapter 268A, Section 21A, regarding board members being on various boards, whether they are in the town charter or in the bylaws or not. And since we've talked, I'm using you as a reference. And I say you as in Mr. Kaplis.
Okay.
The reasons why I think, we have to be way more vigilant in abiding by this chapter is pointing out just a quick look around. When I look for the Director of Veteran Services and I search that online, the first thing that comes up is your LinkedIn, which shows you as a Director of Veteran Services. When I look on the webpage, under the My Town Government, you're listed as the Chair of the Advisory, Veterans Advisory. You're listed as a member also. When I look on the last Veterans Advisory Board meeting, which was February 20th, 2018, the last one that's listed on the agenda. Item number 4 says Director's Operation Report, John Kaplis. You know, and then I go back to my letter from you, dated last August 17th, 2017, which says, you know, that you're gonna resign from the Oversight Board. Now, the question comes up because also you started your medical consulting business. This, to me, seems like conflict of interest all over the place. It doesn't seem, you know, it's not, let's say, clear to the public, who is what. You know, the town websites, state that you are what apparently you're not, and it's being promoted. And in my search, just on a side note, because I looked into this, the whole thing, because I think we do this on a number of occasions through multiple boards, and you know how I feel about stacking the boards with board members and so forth. But, you know, then I look, and, you know, with the business at the house, you know, I looked, and you know your parking situation and, you know, the whole bit, and I'm kind of, you know, stupefied as to how that works. But, so I called I wrote a letter, an email to the Highway Department, and I got confirmation today from Pam that there's never been a permit pulled for the driveway, never been approval for the driveway. I'm just wondering why, you know, things are different for some. You know?
Okay.
I guess on that note, I mean, the parking thing is the least of the issues, but it's
So there's things on the website that should not be there, is that what you're saying?
there's
Okay.
things
I
everywhere.
will make sure that gets corrected.
You know,
as
but,
far
I
as the
mean,
town-
LinkedIn is your personal promotion.
Yep, I have not been on LinkedIn, and I can't tell you, at least a
Yeah.
couple years.
But
But
it says till
I will-
present still.
I will make sure that that's corrected immediately.
I just think it's a disservice to the veterans myself. I just think it comes across as that. Maybe it isn't, and I believe your intentions are 100%, I do. But I think the follow-through is very typical for Templeton. Messy.
I got you. Well, like I said, I'll take care of my personal accounts.
Yeah.
Or accounts, excuse me, and what I'll do is I will double check with the town, with Holly, as far as the other town websites that should have had me already taken off, because I already resigned, like I told
Yeah.
you. And I haven't been to I actually haven't been to a meeting at all.
Well, there hasn't been one since February 20th.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's not listed on the agenda. There's not one listed for the rest of the year.
Well, that's kind of a,
Yeah.
well,
New.
well, it's not that it's new. The bottom line is that the Veterans Oversight, or how that comes about, is it's not mandated for us to have it. Number one, it's not mandated. It's only mandated if you actually have a few towns under one umbrella, so to speak, as like the Quabbin district. They're mandated to have this, and they're mandated to have a person per town on their advisory board.
Yeah.
We are not mandated to have one. That was something that I added personally, because I thought it was very important to have veterans' input, and for the veterans officer, whoever's in that seat, at least monthly, to tell somebody what they're doing to helping veterans. That way the work gets out a little bit better, a little quicker, et cetera. So we're not mandated to have it.
No, but I just, and like I said, this is not about the veterans, this is not about any particular committee, it's just about the process. It's about the mess,
I got you.
and this looks like a mess.
I got you.
And it doesn't promote confidence in the process, in the system, in the people, nothing to me, so
Well,
that's
obviously-
all I wanted to say.
Understood.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I just, I don't know you very well, Robert, but I can say that I am, I guess, somewhat insulted. I work very hard for the Board of Selectmen. I'm on a couple of committees. I think, I can't speak for the rest of the members of this committee, but I don't think Templeton's in a mess. I think Templeton is going in the right direction at this point, And I think that some of our taxpaying citizens in this town are threatened by that because they hadn't seen that in so many years.
Still ain't.
So it's getting there, and it doesn't happen overnight, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm insulted by that comment that you made, so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
That's okay.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mr. May. I appreciate your time and efforts. Any other public comments? I see none. Meeting minutes for July 25th, 2018.
I move that we approve the minutes of 7/25/18.
As written, sir.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second?
A motion, second. Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Abstain.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
And I would move to approve the executive session minutes of 7/25 and to be released in their entirety.
Okay, I have a motion on second.
Second?
A motion, second. Any other discussion, turn to the executive session minutes of July 25th. I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Abstain.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. I go on to new business. Appointment and introductions, Mr. Tenzini.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Mark Shea, interim DPW director, to stand. Started with us yesterday morning. We had to redirect him from an office meeting to a meeting on the Stony Bridge Road on his way in. He'll be with us the first couple weeks, probably a little over the 20 hours, it'll be 24, give or take. And then we'll taper it down to hit that average of 20 that we spoke of. And he's got a full notebook already in the first 24 hours, so. Thank you.
Great, well, thank you so much, Mr. Shea, I appreciate it.
And
your
Julie, he'll be
experience.
reaching out in the next
Yes,
couple.
we spoke before the
Okay,
meeting.
very
Thank
good.
you. Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Welcome. Thanks for your help.
Regarding the event on Templeton Common, the Poultney wedding,
Do we want to do the appointment before moving on?
that's it.
Do we want to do the appointment before moving on?
Do we have, we do.
have an appointment in the book.
We
Get
have
one.
Yep. We've gone too far.
Okay, I stand corrected, let's do that.
So Brian Tangway has submitted an application to be on the Cable TV Advisory Committee. So I would move to appoint Brian Tangway to the Cable TV Advisory Committee for a term ending June 30, 2019.
Second?
I thank you. Any other discussion concerning Mr. Tangway? See none. Cameron?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And Brian's not here, but thank you. Okay, let's move on to the event of Templeton Common, the Poultney wedding. Did I say that right?
Yes.
You can come up to the table, please, identify yourself. Thank you.
It's actually a LeBlanc wedding.
Okay.
She's told me. I'm LeBlanc.
But it's the woman that puts the agenda together.
Thank you.
So she gets all the credit.
Thank you, Holly.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Mr.
Jim,
LeBlanc?
good to see you. I don't know if you remember me. Charlotte's son.
Cameron,
Yes.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
This looks like it's 65 to 70 people. It's on a Saturday. We got a year's advance notice roughly, and it's a half an hour. I don't see any issue with this. I mean, 70 people, you should be able to fit parking. This is at the center of town, so you should be able to fit that right around that church area right there. So there shouldn't be an issue.
Is there anything required of us to comply with any traffic or parking or, you know what I'm saying?
Mr. Ch-
Yeah.
Mr. Chiaranzini, would you be able to set them up with the
Yeah,
chief of police?
absolutely. We'll connect them with the police chief when it gets a little bit closer. I mean, at this point, we're basically asking for the insurance, the indemnification, and a sit-down with the police chief for people.
And are you using the gazebo at all?
That's where we would like to
Okay.
have the ceremony.
The Lions Club also needs to be notified as well. The Lions Club owns the, pretty much the gazebo, and typically, there's not a charge to that, but typically there's a donation, but again, you can work that out with the, with the Lions Club itself.
Can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
Who would I contact for the Lions Club? Because I did contact someone, and I left a voicemail, and he never responded, and then Jim left a voicemail, and he never responded. So that's when I got in touch with Holly. So I don't know.
Well, that's kind of good.
We'll reach out on their behalf and see what we can do to connect them with the right people, because I was unaware that the gazebo on town property was not owned by the town of Templeton.
Yeah, it's kind of,
It is owned by the town.
It is.
But the Lions have maintained it.
and they put
Okay.
their own lion
So
dollars
we need
in
to
it.
crank them into our whole process then.
Yes,
Thank you.
and we'll get that done. And
Okay.
someone will get back in touch with you.
Okay.
Most likely Holly.
Okay, perfect.
Neil, do you have something?
Linda Columbus,
She's the president of the Lions, yep.
she's the Lions contact.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
John's wife? Okay.
Does anybody else have anything to add?
Congratulations, I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful common, enjoy your day, I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
I'm sure you
That's
will.
guys.
Are we allowed to like decorate? Not a lot, but like flowers and things like that?
Well, I know, in the past, I mean, I'm talking from experience, because my son got married there, and we had to use a tent on the common, so we ended up putting a tent there, and, I mean, obviously, the company came, put it up and took it down, et cetera. We had to rent chairs, et cetera.
Okay.
So it was, I mean, then we had some potted things that whatever you bring on the common,
We have to take.
you have to take off. You have
Okay,
to
because
remove.
my parents are elderly, so we're gonna need some chairs. But, we were just wondering about like the floral, what we wanna do. I mean, it's not gonna be anything elaborate.
Right, whatever you put on,
Take
you
off.
take off.
Okay,
And that's pretty much it. I know we're still in the process of coming up with a policy concerning use of town land. That's still in the baby steps, but
Okay.
but it is being worked, hopefully coming in the near future.
okay,
And all those questions that you have will be in that said policy.
okay,
Okay, so there won't be any questions.
okay. So my contact will be Holly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Obviously, all of us are online as well.
Okay.
I mean, not just on LinkedIn, but we are on the town website as well. Thanks, Mr. May, for bringing that up. I appreciate it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's why I wouldn't discuss my business in an open meeting like this. But yes, you can reach out to one of us as well via email, and we will respond as well.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Well, we're gonna take a vote.
Sure.
I move to approve the Poultney wedding being held at the Templeton Common Bandstand on Saturday, June 15th, 2019, at 1 p.m. Or is it 2018?
No, they said it was a year away.
It was a year away.
Oh, okay. So, June 15th, 2019, at 1 p.m. Pending that both the appropriate insurance certificate is provided to the Selectman's office and that the parking plan is approved by the police chief at least 60 days prior to the event.
Excellent. Have a motion of a second?
Second,
Motion, any other discussion? See none. Cam?
Yes.
Julie?
yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The event, Baldwin Common Memorial Church Blessing of Animals.
She wasn't able to be here tonight. She sent that letter.
Yes.
To be on vacation.
Okay,
It's something that they do on the church lawn, but there's not quite enough room, so they go across the street. I guess it's 20 minutes. They bring the animals over there and they bring them back.
and they
did a
bless
little
all the
blessing.
animals? Okay.
I told her if you had questions, we could put it to the next meeting, but let's see if you wanted to vote on it this time.
Okay. I don't have any questions. You guys have any questions?
I don't. Her letter's very well
Right.
written.
I'll go with.
All right, so I would move to approve the Memorial Congregational Church Blessing of the Animals being held at the Baldwinville Common on Sunday, October 1st, 2018, at 12 p.m., pending the appropriate insurance certificate is provided to the Selectman's office on or before September 15th, 2018.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion? See none. Kim?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, action on the sewer ban. Mr. Tanzini.
On August 23 of 2017, you authorized a bond anticipation note of $2.3 million to finance the Pleasant Street pumping station. The permanent financing is coming from the Rural Development Authority. The project is unfortunately not complete and will not be complete probably well into December, January. Once it is complete, we then need another 90 days to close with the RDA in order to ensure that there is plenty of time so we don't have to roll the ban again, and to get the ban into the next fiscal year, since the payment on this had not been planned for fiscal 19. We're rolling it for 1 year, so we're asking you to authorize the award of the $2.3 million to the low bidder for the 1-year ban. Yeah, where's the schedule? Yeah, the bid, the bids that came in, the bid schedule.
I'm not counting the packet.
Nope.
And we're redoing this because of the new fiscal year, is that correct?
That's, well, and the project simply isn't done. Won't be done for a year.
Has it been started?
Yes, it has.
I know the sign's up.
Yes, it has been. Nope.
Is there any way we can get the sewer superintendent at one of our meetings to give us a back brief on how that project is coming?
We can certainly issue that invitation.
I think that would be nice for the people to see and hear.
Unfortunately, the bids did not get included, so I would ask that you place this on hold for a few moments so I can go procure that.
Okay.
I don't understand why this takes.
How you doing, sir? Good, how you doing? Oh, just Peachy Grand. Great. And I move for better parking. I think I have to apply for a common vic license too, maybe. Just taking a couple of seconds. Get that bid document for us. This is public, No, you can read that. Okay. Because I covered myself as well. Thanks to a counterpart up here on the board who gave me some good information and insight. And I owe him for that. Even though he's younger than I am.
Doug, you dog. I
Do
didn't
you
know
two
you were
want to sit
younger than
next to
him.
each other now?
Yeah, no, you're a good barrier between me and John.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions about the process?
No, I think that's a good idea to see if we can talk to Kent as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we need to have the sewer commissioner in here again.
I think you're right. I think
We
that's.
don't, I have way too many questions on this one.
So do
Oh,
I.
I'm sorry.
You take one. You go.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman, but as you can see, we continue to receive responsive bids to our requests. The lowest bidder at this point was Eastern Bank. After the premium, the net interest cost is 2.394% for the one-year bond anticipation note.
Okay. I mean, the longer they take, the chances of that interest rate going up is pretty significant. Okay.
They've already gone up quite a
They
bit
did.
since we borrowed
Yeah.
last year,
Yep.
so.
Well, that's because the federal hike. The federal government didn't help us on that one either.
No, I think it's probably impacted by how much we pulled out for the school. I think they probably take that into assessment because they're not going up that much in the feds. They're
Mhm.
probably quarter, half
Well, your
interest percent.
your
This is a
rural
full-
development loan will be pegged at a index over the federal funds rate.
Okay.
That really won't be in your credit reflected,
Okay.
reflective of your credit, I should say.
Doug, you have any questions?
You can just fold it in.
I mean, this is certainly the right move to take.
Yep. No, it's kind of the deal we have at this point.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you said the timeline, you said somewhere they'd be completed around December, January.
Well, the hope was that they'd be completed December, January, but you never quite know what's gonna go wrong. And then you've got to get all your paperwork to the Rural Development Agency. They'll take upwards of 90 days.
Okay.
And I really didn't want to have to roll this ban at the last minute for some short period of time. This also pushes it into fiscal
19.
20.
20, okay.
We're in 19 now.
Yep.
And we have the interest payment for this year now. That's in this year's budget. So that will push everything cleanly into 2020 when we have the RDA all wrapped up.
And that'll be netted in 2020?
Yes, that'll be added in 2020 as permanent financing.
Okay.
That would be our hope.
Great.
All right, I will read the book that's the motion. I move to approve the sale of the $2.3 million, $2,300,000, 2.7% general obligation bond, anticipation note of the town dated August 23rd, 2018, and payable August 23rd, 2019, to Eastern Bank at par accrued interest plus a premium of $7,038. And further, that in connection with the marketing and sale of the notes, the preparation and distribution of the notice of sale and preliminary official statement dated July 25th, 2018, and a final official statement dated August 1st, 2018, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer. Be and hereby are ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. And further, that delivery, a significant event disclosure undertaking in compliance with SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the notes for the benefit of the holders of the note from time to time, and further that we authorize and direct the treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures in such form as the treasurer and bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update said procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax exempt status of the notes, and further that each member of the Board of Selectmen, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions, and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them, or any of them, to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
That was a long-winded one.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Second?
A motion, a second, any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Just quick, I was going through the 49-page application on the document sheet, and a couple things stood out to me that, brought up a question. And one is on page 40, I don't know if you have, I believe you have the documentation in front of you. But one is on page 40, and it's a stabilization fund. We're showing a balance of $106,730 on June 30th, 2017. I was just curious as to, why we're showing a year-plus-old balance when our balance should be, based on Article 11 from November 14th, 2017, should be $244,230 plus interest. Because we were supposed to deposit, according to Article 11, $137,500 into the stabilization fund last year. That's one. My other question relates to page 49.
Mr. Chairman, can we just?
Let's
Oh,
talk
sorry.
about the first one first.
I can only reasonably assume that that has to be because we require audited financials, correct? So
That is
usually
what-
when you go out
That
for.
is what the offering entity
Yeah.
requested of us so that we could provide copies of the audit.
Yeah,
Right.
typically, when you go out for this stuff, they won't take your word for it. They need somebody
They
else
need-
to sign off
They
on
need
it
the
and say
audit
it's audited.
document, not,
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted, that was the first.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
thank you, but now we'll contradict that.
Okay.
Because on page 49,
yeah,
it says, "The town established an OPEB trust fund which currently has a balance of approximately $64,000." So that says currently. That balance also should be $84,000 and change, $84,608 actually and change, because $20,000 was also voted to be put into that through Article 11 of the special town meeting last year. So there's $20,000 that's not in that current number.
Can you point to which figure you were talking about on
Yep,
page 49?
on page 49, about a quarter of the way down, the bottom of the second paragraph.
Okay, 64,000, okay, so OPEB trust fund, which currently has a balance of approximately, okay, I see what you're pointing
It
at.
says currently has a balance of approximately 64. Now, my question related to that is, that tonight you have scheduled to open the warrant
Yep,
for the fall town meeting, and it appears that we haven't even completed the issues from the last town meeting, the last fall town meeting. And I'm just wondering, it seems as though if we haven't, we need some kind of policy in order to get funds from the town meeting, or issues that are done at town meeting, actually completed. You know, because we have a lot of that. We have, you know, a lot of the other, let's say, things that we voted on that are in a list of yet to be done. But this, you know, seems to be important in one of those, Julie, one of those messes I was talking about. Sorry.
I got you. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Carter?
We get a request from the offering agency, which is Hilltop Security, of what they want for financial items as of which dates, and we supply them with the information that they request. I will discuss with the accountant tomorrow these two particulars and advise Mr. May as soon as we can.
Excellent. Can you, can I be CC'd on that as well?
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
And there was just one other item, it's the most important of the whole mess.
It's all important. What is it, Mr. May?
But on the application under town officers,
What page you on?
get page 17.
I just want to see what y'all looking at.
Yep.
Why? I'm looking at
Because
that.
my paper's a mess.
Well,
Yes, sir.
I'm going.
Page 17, it shows three
I'm literally checking those numbers,
employees
too.
as indefinite terms. Carter, the town accountant, and the treasurer.
Yes.
If I look on the town website, it shows Carter's contract is for a year. It actually, the treasurer's contract actually has in the terms a termination date of July 31st, 2020. And I have no idea about the accountant, but it just, you know, with a termination date on a contract, it doesn't seem indefinite to me.
Understood.
Just a thought.
I understand. Well said. All right.
You're
Thank
fine.
you.
I'd
Thank you
give
for
it
bringing
to
that
them.
up. Appreciate it. Carter, did you get that?
I do, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
7437.
Thank you, Mr. May.
You're welcome.
Regarding the MART contract, oh wait, did we vote for that?
No, we have not voted.
We have not. So I had a motion, did I have a second? I did have a second. And that was discussion? Any other discussion? No, this is on the, on this. Any other discussion, potentially those potential changes coming down the pike on the ban? See none. Cam?
Yes.
Julie?
No.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, going on to the MART contract. Mr. Penzini?
As you may know, the old MART contracts expired over 2 years ago. We have been going back and forth, and I don't mean just us, but all of the user agencies. They've spent well over 18 months hammering out issues of the formula for the overhead, the hourly rates, the matters of insurance, how we can possibly insure vehicles that we don't necessarily own. This is the sum result of all of those long and sometimes painful and contentious conversations. And in order to continue to enjoy reimbursement for our MART activities, we would have to approve this contract. Otherwise, we would have to cease operations.
Did everybody get a chance to look at that? Did you look at the contract?
Yeah, this has been a month, and there's been no changes since the last.
But no substantial changes
Yeah.
once the basic formula and addressing the insurance and some of the others. I mean, there were tweaks back and forth, but there's 20 plus communities involved this that have pushed it back and forth. So there's been no substantive change in the last 3-4 months as it's been making its way around for final approvals.
So I remember this when it first came around when I was just elected, so this has been going on quite a while.
Yeah, they've been out for a couple of years now.
And again, as I say, this is the result of months and of a number of agencies involved, so the odds of getting any changes on it, I'd put in the slim to none category.
Understood. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the contract between the town of Templeton and Montechusett Regional Transit Authority for transportation services for the Templeton Council on Aging for a term of 3 fiscal years, which shall terminate on June 30, 2021, as presented, and for the chairman to sign.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Terenzini, the department head recommended for this.
Yes,
Okay.
they did. They asked if they needed to be here tonight. They've had some recent surgery, as you may know, and given the likelihood that it couldn't be altered, I suggested that they continue to recuperate this evening.
It's on, Mr. Chairman.
That's okay. Good question. Any other
Yes, it
discussion?
does come with their recommendation.
I have a motion, do I have and a second? Who's second? Thank you. Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Opening warrants for fall town meeting. Mr. Tenzini? Mr. Tenzini, so we're open to the fall town warrants?
Yeah, your bylaws require that it be open for a minimum of 14 days. So we're asking that you open it as of tonight. We'll extend out a little bit with the closure being on August 27. Obviously, this is for citizen petitions. Staff is aware of this and is putting together their requests over the next couple of weeks. And we would be asking, when we get to the workshop, I'll be asking to add this as an item for discussion next week with you all.
Great. Okay. Okay.
I move to open the warrant for the fall town meeting, and the warrant will be closed on
August
We're
27th.
asking for August 27,
August 27th.
close of business.
On August 27th at the close of business.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion, a second. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. May?
Just to note that from today to August 27th, close of business is 12 days and about 22 hours, business days. If we use Monday through Friday, if we use actual business days in Templeton, which is Monday through Thursday, the earliest date would be the 3rd of September. Just saying.
Mr. Chairman, your
Yes.
bylaw does not speak to business days. The common usage in the absence of being defined would be calendar days. This is effectively 19 calendar days, modestly above the 14, due to the fact that we are closed on Friday and we want to make sure people have sufficient time.
Does anybody else have any other comments? Did that answer your question?
No.
Okay.
I think the bylaw says a minimum of 14 days. You know, and it doesn't say business days, it doesn't not say business days.
Right.
But, you know, bringing a petition to town hall on a Sunday is rather hard, just saying.
27th is a Monday, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, but the 26th is one of the days you're counting, is what I'm saying. You're counting Saturdays and Sundays
We're counting-
for the 19, and for the 12 days and 22 hours or whatever is Monday through Friday.
Right, because again, the bylaw doesn't stipulate the days, if it's
Correct.
business days or,
I'm just
Calendar
thinking of the
days.
town people who might want to bring them in because the town hall is not open.
I understand.
That's all I'm saying.
And we're just following the statute that stipulates that it's calendar days, this doesn't say business days.
It does say minimum of 14 days. It doesn't say no maximum.
I understand. That's why we went out to
So
19.
I'm just,
We went out to 19 business days.
Well,
Or 19 calendar days,
calendar
excuse me,
days.
19 calendar days. Anybody else have any other comments?
Are there any
Yes.
invites for the business meeting on the 15th? Or is that just selectmen?
No, you're invited. Anybody can come.
Participation.
Public is welcome. Anything we do together as a group is all public, unless we go into executive session. Any other? I have a motion, a second, any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And your comments are noted, Mr. May. Regarding the approval of the trading of trucks with Winchendon, Mr. Tenzini, can you?
Well,
go
we
over that?
advised you, our 2002 bucket truck has been retired. The municipal light plant has been generous enough to donate to us their 2007 bucket truck that they have decommissioned. When Alan was here, he had made a deal with Winchendon whereby we would transfer that 2002 that we've decommissioned to them, and they in turn are planning to transfer a 10-wheeler to us. And we could place that up for surplus sale or do whatever fits best with the fleet as we get closer to winter. So we're requesting that you authorize us to transfer the 2002 to Winchendon as surplus and to accept their 10-wheeler.
So moved.
Okay. What year is the 10-wheeler, do you know?
It's a 97, which I hate to report to you is newer than some of our equipment.
No, I know it is.
And again, we've not made a full assessment of it, and it may simply be auctioned off.
Okay, understood. Anybody have any questions? Cam, anything?
Nothing on my end.
Okay, good. All right, go ahead, Deb.
I move to approve the trading of the bucket truck for a dump truck with the town of Winchendon.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. Any other discussion? Yes, Mr. May?
do we have a value on it? Or because for purposes of capital planning, it doesn't matter where the funding source is, so if it's a trade or not, it's just a value issue. So I just wanted to, wondered if we did have a value.
A value of the piece of equipment we're receiving from?
That would be the only, I think that would be the only one we'd actually need a value on, is
Oh,
what we're actually getting.
We would need two values then, because we're getting a bucket truck from the light department, that, as well as this vehicle. So I understand what you're saying. The values will be, I understand. Mr. Tenzini, can we upload the values?
At this point, I would consider the value of both of them as scrap till we're able to make a full assessment and determine whether or not we will try to put it in the fleet as opposed to some of our 1980 models, or we put it on the line of shame for sale.
Okay.
It's best I can tell you right
Well,
now.
at least till we get the mechanic to look at it and see what it's actually worth. But we'll get, can we get back with you?
Yeah, no, because I mean, I just looked at the 202s, I don't know what we have or anything, but I just looked and we're, in that $10,000 range, so, I mean, this thing might be worth, $5, I don't know,
Right.
but,
We're gonna play it off like it's worth
I
a
mean,
dollar
yeah,
at this point.
that's
but-
what it sounds like, it sounds like it's just,
Truthfully, even without the trade, with Winchendon seeking the O2 as a neighboring community, as part of trying to build relationships,
Relationships.
we would have been in front of you, asking you to surplus the O2 to them anyways,
Understood.
as part of a good neighbor relations, because its value is so low.
Understood. Right, no, good question. Any other discussion? See none? Cam?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Update on 69 South Street.
So, Mr. Chairman, some weeks ago, the property owners, Brian and Sonia White of 69 South Street, came in and expressed a number of concerns over the change in the traffic pattern down there when we went to the one-way street, and also the geometric changes and construction that was going to be done with the end of the school construction. All that work will be done at once. We went down there with representatives of the construction company, with the OPM, and with the town engineer, or I should say the project engineer. There were a few changes made to the geometry and the signage, which seemed to please them. There is some fence that had been damaged
I did.
with snow and ice as a result of the change in the new plowing
That's what he's talking about.
patterns.
Yep.
And
I've read it before.
in order to assist them and for goodwill, we had slipped into all your books a release and hold harmless agreement, which we would, under which we would pay to them $2,500, and they would, in addition to waiving future claims, they would have to remove their fencing, some of which is in the town right away. And that has to be moved out completely. It would be paid only after completion, after everything's been moved and inspected. And that was in the front sleeve, or should have been in the front sleeve
we got
of
it.
your notebooks, as it was still considered confidential legal at the time it was released. We would pay this out of the school, if I can get the school money to pay it, otherwise we would pay it out of our legal settlement fees.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? or
There's
questions?
arguments to be made as to why we don't have to do it, there's arguments to be made as why we do need to do it, but I think that given the change in the plowing pattern, some of the damage, and in terms of goodwill, this is not an unreasonable way to resolve this matter.
I got you. Anything to add? I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Unless you have a prepared motion, I would request that you authorize the execution of the release and hold harmless agreement by the Whites, and we would then make the payments to them under the conditions outlined in this agreement.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Any other discussion concerning this?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, but we technically, during the season and after the change of the pattern, knocked someone's fence down.
Yep.
Okay, just want to
Did some
clarify
damage,
that.
did a little bit of damage. You know, you can go back and forth and pay this in the deductible on a legal suit.
Gotcha.
Mr.
Right.
Chairman?
Yes.
I know there was another issue too that doesn't really seem like it's been addressed here, was the, I know they had raised the concern that people were going down the road at the opposite direction than they should have. Have we put any other risk mitigation out there for that concern?
There's signage, there's police that stop people. I think that some of this will start, first off, it's never gonna stop.
Yeah.
Just because you make a street one way, please don't think people are actually going to follow it scrupulously.
Well, I can contest that, not to interrupt you, because on Route 2 last night, someone was coming at me head-on.
You have to change your pants?
Yeah, I was pretty scared to see headlights.
But I do believe that once the geometric changes, once that built circle at the end is constructed, which will be done in conjunction with the landscaping and the pavement work at the rest of the school, as this goes on longer, and as the school gets more traffic going in the right direction, some of this will alleviate over time.
No, I'm certain of that, but has there been anybody that, like, chief of police or anything like that, or DPW direct Alameo when he was in, or yourself? I mean, has there been any, because I know that was a big concern, was that people were driving down that street the wrong way. So have we actually seen anything that's
We
factual rather than anecdotal?
We have not seen it. We've only heard about it. The
Okay.
police have not seen it. No one else has observed it.
Okay.
We've heard about it. You'll notice even tonight, if you were to go into Templeton Center, we've got the signboard right next to the Templeton Center Fire Station.
Yep.
One way, do not enter, whatever in particular it says. We'll keep working away at it, but it
Okay.
takes a long time to change people's habits.
Of course, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I had a
Yes.
question for the town administrator as well. I had some concerns because some of the residents in that area have been saying that the sign got moved from where it should be, moved back further. And so now people are using the cutoff as the parking lot of the fire department, which is illegal. So I'm not sure why that isn't being adjusted, or maybe it is being adjusted, but,
I'll check with the chief. I just
Okay.
would ask, I would just try to disabuse you of the idea that people will follow the law and do what they're supposed to do. I'm not an optimist on, I don't have a positive point of view on that, I'm afraid, after doing this a couple of years now.
But unless people are getting out of their car and moving the cones, the fire department.
There's no
has
cones.
They moved the cones
Oh,
out of the
they
way.
take
cones have been moved, the
All the
sign
barriers
has
have been
been moved
moved.
back, all the barriers were moved. People are using that as a cutoff parking lot.
And
Get to the
I think
country
that's one of
store.
the reasons they may have that signboard back up there now, but I'll talk on the staff meeting tomorrow about
Okay,
it.
great, thank you.
Anybody else have any?
We may have to put those lovely, spikes that hit you if you try the wrong way.
Get some Jersey berries. Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The agenda for the 8:15 special workshop?
We've prepared a draft agenda for you, as we suggested. This was primarily of interest to Mr. Forts for the special,
Mhm.
so I leave it to him, but I will tell you that we would be adding a discussion of possible approaches to private roads. That'll come out of the Laurelville meeting on a Tuesday night. Come Monday morning, we received legal opinions. We'll get that to you. We'll have the full 100-plus page workbook in there for your reading. And we'll be presenting to the Laurelview citizenry the status of where we are legally and the things that we can do legally. And we would like to discuss some of those with you at the workshop, in case you want to take them to the fall town meeting, because they involve special legislation and they involve local bylaw
I
changes.
got you. What time is that meeting on Tuesday night?
It is 6 PM on Tuesday night here in this room. We are gonna have it taped again. And then we'll just wanna go over a couple, see if there's any other thing that's on your folks' list for the fall town meeting.
Okay.
Free cash will be certified in time, and we'll have a few things we have to backfill.
Okay.
And possibly some capital projects we need to supplement based upon bidding that'll start next week.
Kim, do you have anything obviously, do you have anything to discuss at this time?
Yeah, first I just want to
Yep.
disclose that I may be late to this workshop, school committee's meeting, and so I will be in
Gotcha.
attendance there.
What
They-
time's that meeting start, 5:30?
I believe they start at 6.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. But I am on the collective bargaining team there, and I usually stay. I like to be informed of what they're doing, and what their goal setting is for the year, and I think they're gonna be addressing that in
Oh, yeah.
August.
Oh, absolutely.
So if we could maybe rearrange some of the stuff that Carter's talking about, the private roadway, and I think that's really his.
Yeah, we'll move the stuff, other than what you had kind of motivated for this workshop, up to the top.
Okay.
That way it gives you some time.
Yep.
So you don't have to rush.
Yep, and then, yeah, you can shoot me a text or something when it's.
I will.
Yeah. And then as far as F and A are concerned, those are one of the same. I would actually change the wording of that from personnel policy updates and relationship with employees to maybe just human resource management, something like that, and then maybe we can go into a bullet breakdown of those subjects, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then school relations, business relations, community relations, so I mean, you could even sum those up as outward relations, but break them down into, you know, how we project ourselves with businesses, with the community, and with, the school, or even, other communities as well. Phillipston, Winchendon, so maybe even combine that into just one bullet: relationship management, I don't know what we wanna call that, but condense that. Town fellow competencies, that one makes sense. I think that's, Carter, you're gonna disclose that document you had circulated?
Yeah, I mean, we're basically all done. I have one phone call left. We'll be able to wrap that memo up tomorrow. I did get one set of suggestions from one board member. I sent that back to them today with yellow highlighted the manner in which I tried to address it. I don't know if they've had a chance to look at that yet. If they could overnight, just let me know if that satisfied their concerns. That would be helpful. I thought it was a positive addition. And we'll have that ready to be circulated tomorrow.
Right.
Okay.
So Doug, that would be,
So maybe we can include that before all of those, so that if I am delayed, because I think that's gonna take place without me regardless. So then we have, and then goal settings and objective setting process, yep, that makes sense as well, so. The only thing that I did not see, and I was gonna wait for board and staff member comments here, and this may seem a little bit lengthy to add, but I had this discussion with the advisory committee. There's a bylaw issue and an opportunity for us to kind of work with the advisory committee. There seems to be some sort of conflict with the bylaw that Jeff Bennett has raised. He had received, or he had sent something to Carter. Carter had sent him word back from what town council's interpretation of it is. I actually talked to the Attorney General's office, and they said there's nothing they're gonna do about it unless it's contested. So they said if you can resolve it with town council. So I was exploring the option of maybe forming a subcommittee, where, you know, 2 members of the Board of Selectmen, 2 members of the advisory committee, we come together, we sit down, we review what the bylaw changes, what we need to have to make it work. They don't wanna do the budget, but according to what the bylaw says, is that there is some sort of,
I have to respectfully
Okay.
disagree, and town council will disagree.
okay, and that's something that we should all just get into a room in this subcommittee, we just sit down and
And we can
walk through
explain the
that.
thought, that
Yeah.
their responsibility is to, yes, look at estimates and make recommendations. But the bylaw is clear that it is the town administrator, after consultation with his body, that prepares the budget.
And I think that's,
Nowhere-
this
nowhere
isn't
in
a
the
defensive
advisory-
measure on our part,
Yeah.
this isn't, the advisory committee's not coming at us, and we're not coming at them, I think it's just a collaborative measure where we can get together and reasonably work through this and say, this is the intent of the bylaw, separately, and then report back to both boards. So it was just something that was kicked around at the last advisory committee meeting, I said I would raise that, so I don't know if you guys want to disclose something at the workshop, but maybe some sort of exploratory subcommittees for issues like this that come up, where we don't need to do a full joint meeting of the boards, but we can just have charge of personnel to just kind of explore these things and processes that come up. So I don't know if you want to add that to the workshop, and we can discuss that through, and maybe invite some of the members of the advisory committee to
It's
join in
open.
that discussion.
They're more than welcome. Everyone's welcome.
Absolutely. Well, I mean,
don't
to
need
formally
to
formally recognize somebody from the advisory committee, I think would be a good idea. So that's just food for thought. I'll let you guys, if you guys want to do that or not. I would recommend for it. I think it's a great opportunity for us to start collaborating.
We can, the bylaw change is in for a default town meeting, that's gonna be one of the warrants, correct?
The codification, no, will not be ready. I think we've spoken to that in the last couple of weeks. And we had planned to add to the agenda what you want, if anything you wanted to do about the advisory committee bylaw change. We have 2 emails out to the advisory committee. If they would like to hit reply and say, yes, we'd like to have a joint discussion of this, then by all means, we can move forward. They've given no indication in terms of, I mean, we have one contact, we send it to the advisory committee email.
Right.
We have no indication they wish to do that. If they do, then by all means. At this point, town council's advised, and after a review, we do not believe there is a conflict in terms of who does the budget. So we can keep bumping along, or we can try to fix it. I mean, it's whatever y'all want to do.
Okay.
I mean, if it makes everybody feel more if we all reasonably determine that there is something wrong with the wording of the bylaw, although town council feels otherwise, I mean, even if it just makes us all feel comfortable with the intent of what we're trying to write in the language, to do some sort of language change at town meeting, I mean, that's a simple, quick fix, where we're just changing language, so. I mean, I think that's what I'm trying to get at here, is what makes us all feel more comfortable with what we have, and that's just a fairly simple collaborative discussion.
Oh, I am all for that discussions and stuff, but again, that organization is specifically there to be the, watchdog for us. Them doing the budget,
They don't want to do the
That
budget.
doesn't
They're
make-
they're
it won't
not,
make
they're
any
not
sense to
suggesting
me.
that the bylaw,
Uh,
they're saying that the way it is worded, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that it is worded could indicate or could be interpreted that they are in charge of the budget, and they are the ones to present it at town meeting. However, they don't want to do that, and they just want that changed so that that intent of language is not misinterpreted.
I see what you're saying.
So,
We can,
I hit that on the head?
do
Yes,
you want,
okay.
do you want to add that onto this workshop? Not this
Sure.
workshop, but, that workshop is really,
I know, that's why I said, but,
really heavy.
I mean,
We can
even have an informal discussion with.
try to do
I
it
mean,
for
you
the
guys
fall,
meet
we can
next
do
Wednesday,
it
right?
next
The
spring.
day after the workshop.
Okay, so
Only-
the next Thursday.
meet Whatever you want. They
Oh,
had it,
yes, yeah.
they had it for 2
Yeah, I'm
months
still
during the
tied
budget.
up on, I
They
forget
had it
today's
for
Wednesday.
2 months now.
I know.
2 months, okay.
Weird adjustment.
The version that we had proposed last year.
Yes.
Yep.
So whatever form, if they are now interested in having that conversation, whatever form you want that conversation to take, just let me know and I'll get it scheduled.
Okay.
Would you
Pretty
feel
easy.
comfortable, I mean, I have no problem meeting with them, they're two individuals, I would love to be on that.
Okay.
Anybody else would like to be, with me
Well,
on that?
since I've already got the ball rolling, I'd like to volunteer.
Okay, so
to-
you and
yeah.
I?
Yep, that
All right,
works.
and then two of their members?
Yep.
And then we can, quarterly meet,
Yeah, and-
here or something?
Yeah, sit down with Carter, and if we need to get town council's input or dig up the previous emails that we've already paid for on his part, and then kind of worry about what what the concerns are and how do we change that if it needs to be changed, and go into that space, so.
Do we need do we need a vote for that? To make
No,
this type
I
of-
mean, if they're interested in sitting down and they're gonna have two folks do it and you wanna have two folks do it, all we gotta do is take out the document. They had it for 2 months during the budget. It's been sent out to them shortly after town meeting. Just take out that document and start working through it.
Let's
What are the
set up a date and
concerns?
time, location to be determined, but set up a date and time, and
Okay.
We'll work that with their organization.
Doug, Julie, you guys comfortable with that?
I'm
guys
fine
okay
with that.
And then we can report back to you guys as far as, just what we find? Okay.
I'll try to, do we know when the advisory committee meets next?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday,
Yep.
okay. So once we know who their folks are gonna be, we can get you scheduled ASAP.
Great, that'd be awesome.
I know Jeff's watching the meeting, so I probably put that on the agenda, Jeff.
Put that on the agenda, Jeff.
I'm not going to put it on the agenda for the workshop then, given that you've essentially decided how you wanna proceed.
That's great.
Workshop is really heavy.
It's gonna be really heavy, yeah. Anything
I
else?
want to say that I'm going to try to circulate some sort of documents to the board so we can come into this and kind of have it regimented a little bit, so that there is a lot of discussion, but I think if we can focus the discussion on relevant topic, because if we don't focus it, we'll be here for,
Yeah.
10, 12 hours. So if we can really just highlight maybe the key issues and maybe even give it to Carter on what we feel are key issues and what we need to discuss
Right.
is, so that we can kind of have some bulleted sections under, like, for personnel policy updates, maybe we want to see, maybe an exploration of an HR director or something like that, kind of bulleted, so we have some sort of targeted discussion and we're not just throwing stuff up in the air.
Okay, maybe we can do a PowerPoint presentation with that, so it's
Okay.
up on the wall.
Yep, yeah, I can circulate some documents, today's Wednesday, so by the end of the week, I can get some stuff out to you guys.
Okay, I'll work with Kara, and I'll try to put together a PowerPoint presentation with the bullets. Okay, board and staff member comments and no reports?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to ask Carter, he may know the answer to this, or maybe he can get it for me, but I'd like to know who's responsible for the speed limit on 2A and 101 here in East Templeton. It's a state road, so would that be the state, or does the town regulate the speed limit?
I'm gonna have to check, because it may be a state numbered road with only portions of it actually being a state highway.
That's what I thought. I
And
think it's
the town responsible
broken
for
up.
other portions of it. So
Okay.
I'll need to find out, and find out where those limit lines are. So you're asking about 2A and 101?
Right here in front of
Sure.
us. Yep. There's just been, in recent months, there's been several accidents there, and I'm just wondering why they don't lower that speed limit from 35 to possibly 25 or 30.
You could even,
There's school bus pickups in East Templeton, and some of these big rigs are going 60 miles an hour through East Templeton. I mean,
Yep.
let's knock down this speed limit, maybe? I mean, I think it's getting pretty dangerous. This summer alone, 3, maybe 4. I'm sure that, Templeton PD would have the
Sure,
exact
we'll
number,
get you an
or
answer, and then we'll take a town map and show you where the limit lines are.
where we might be
if
able
it
to
is a
control
shared-
that speed limit.
If it's a shared responsibility.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else? Yes, Mr. Tenzini.
Just for the cameras, as Mr. May pointed out, we have some vacancies on the Veterans Advisory Board. We also would encourage people to consider applying for the Capital Planning Committee. We have one at-large vacancy, and that work will start probably shortly after Labor Day sometime, I imagine. It's fairly intense, but you get up to December, and then you kind of coast till the next September. But this is a very important committee. We have a vacancy on the Boynton Library, the Council on Aging Board, and the Conservation Committees. Also, with respect to economic development, we remain in need of people to serve on the EDIC. The other place where we can always use volunteers, Rich Curtis and his CERT team, and I would just want to use that as a segue into thanking Richard Curtis, our Emergency Management Director, for the last 48 hours. He and I think, have spent more time together in the last 2 days than we may have in all the time before. He and his CERT team were out at the Stony Bridge Road many hours late into the night, making sure that people were fed and watered. And we had the work lights, and we were getting the calls out to state resources for the pumps, and he was keeping the folks downstream advised, and getting on the ATV. I'm not sure, maybe that was an excuse to have some fun, but certainly getting on the ATV to check on a beaver dam or two. But they did yeoman's work, and I really, Richard, thank you and your people. There's way too many people to thank for everything, but certainly our volunteer firefighters. They all turned out. Our highway guys did a terrific job. Just so that you'll all know the latest, first, prayers for dry weather for at least the next 5 days are most welcome. The water is down about 18 inches at this point. We are hoping that we can get another foot or so over the next day or two, so we can see further. For those of you who've been up there, you can't see into that water very well. We will have someone from Mass Fish and Game on the ecological, or I think they call it Streamway Corridor project. They'll be here mid-afternoon. We've gotten some additional contacts. We'll go down every rabbit hole, see if what we can find. But I would anticipate at this point the need to request monies at the fall town meeting, both to backfill. We're gonna be in the upper single numbers, very low, 5 digits, 8, 12,000. I don't know exactly where we'll end up on the emergency response, and conceivably that much again for the engineering that we need for the next step. So once we get that fine-tuned a little bit, we'll keep you updated, because that'll be a fall town meeting warrant article.
Okay.
But the folks really did, your folks, volunteer and paid, were a tremendous credit to this community over the last 48 hours.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Rich, and your group, everybody. Anyone else have anything else to add? Do we need to go in executive session, Mr. Tanzini?
I have nothing unless
Do you have anything?
Mr. Forts does. I have the report on the option of the municipal management fellow that I think can be adequately discussed next week. I don't know if Mr. Forts
He so,
desired it.
he does, he so
I would
chooses.
request an executive session.
Okay. Executive session for Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21.2 and 20.3, contract negotiations with non-union personnel and litigation. We will be coming back in, not for any official votes, but just to close the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Chairman, I think you need a roll call vote.
Yeah, I do.
On that,
Break.
please. And we don't need the litigation.
Do we need a motion for in a second? I motion for.
Yeah, I got it.
Second.
I second. Kim?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yeah. And I vote yes as well.
Are we taking a little break?
Yeah.